Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about how to get better grades in school. And I want to show you some proof that this is working. And you can see this for yourself because there's all sorts of comments in my previous videos of success stories. And first of all, I'm just astounded that there's so many success stories in the comments. And so I want to thank you all, and I'm so happy to help others. But I want to read a success story, and this is just one of many. I read this just 30 seconds ago, and I wanted to just shout this person out. Her name is Catherine B, and she just wrote this. She said, I watched one of your videos about 3 months ago when I was nearly failing my AP World class, and now it's the only B I have, an 89 in all A's. Thank you so much. So that was in one of my more recent videos, The Undisclosed Secret to Straight A's. I think it all started with my video 4 years ago on how to get straight A's. And a lot of people are still coming from that video and they want to improve at life and specifically in school. So I want to kind of address some ideas and also touch on the book that I keep mentioning, because people have been asking about it. They've been asking, I forgot the name of the book. Can you link the book? And I've started to add the link to the book on Amazon in my video description, which I'll try and remember to do. But you could just look it up. If you go through my link, I get a little affiliate commission at no cost to you. But either way, it's called How to Become a Straight A Student, the Unconventional Strategies Real College Students Use to Score High While Studying Less. A little bit of a clickbaity name, but in general, the book is solid. It has a 4.7 out of 5 on 4-Minute Books and a 4.2 out of 5 on Goodreads. So exactly what is this book and how can it help you? I'm going to be summarizing some of the big highlights from the book. But of course, if you want to go to extra level, which I recommend, get the audiobook version, get the plain text version, because that's how you get ahead. So let's just get started. The first big lesson from the book, and I'm going to intersperse these tips with some more comments from my viewers. But the first tip is study in focused but short blocks rather than pseudo working through the night. This is actually a common concept in the personal development and speed learning worlds for advanced people. However, for the average person, it may sound new to them. But in terms of productivity and studying, it's one of the fundamental rules. Essentially, how your brain works is it functions much better at memorization when you get these constant repeated cycles of learning spaced out by a day or 2 days in frequency, rather than just one solid block of cramming the night before. And so if you add up the total amount of time that you study, it's actually going to be less than cramming the night before, which makes it even more appealing. I think a lot of people, they procrastinate, they get lazy, and then they have the false assumption that, oh, if I just do it one night, that's less work than, studying a little bit every couple of days. Well, it turns out reviewing that material every couple of days, when you add up all that time together, it's still sometimes less than all the time you spend cramming the night before. And for anyone who's been there and done an all-nighter or crammed a lot, you know who you are. You know it doesn't work as well as you think. After like 2 a.m., you're screwed. Nothing's really going into your head. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you're dead. And then all you're going to do is be so exhausted by the time the test starts that you're already at a physical and mental energy disadvantage. So in the book, Cal looked at roughly 50 minutes being the ideal study length. As long as you study those 50 minutes on nothing but one task, 3 of those per day will get you as far as 10 hours spent with an average of just, a lesser level of focus. So there you go. Now I'm going to jump into another video comment just to kind of shout out the people that I've helped and show my appreciation. Zin says, I love your content, bro. You have helped me so much. Thanks, Zin. I appreciate that. I think more than money, making money, I think I've found that it keeps me going to help people. That's why I've continued a YouTube channel for over 10 years, despite only getting, 20 views a video. I'll just do another one for fun. Great video, and do you have any links for the Willpower book? So this is another book that gets mentioned. I get mentioned and asked a lot about, even though you could Google it yourself and find it out. But there's a couple, but the one I really like is called Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength by John Tierney and Roy Baumeister. Okay, so jumping back to the Cal Newport book, the second tip from the book is keep a work progress journal to uncover your excuses. A lot of times how you believe you and the world function is different from how you actually are because of your internal biases. And I found that this out the hard way when I decided to journal how I spent every minute of my day. And after I saw that, I knew everyone else had these other flawed beliefs. I wrote it down and I was shocked when I finished. I did it for a whole day and then another day and then I reviewed. And it was like 17 minutes of work, 6 minutes of Instagram, 14 minutes of work, 19 minutes of YouTube, 37 minutes of work, 19-minute bathroom break. And it was not nearly as good as I thought. And then when you add in those moments after you eat dinner, 2 hours of TV, you realize, wow, and you add it all up, I spent 4.7 hours of my free time doing crappy stuff that I didn't have to do. So you realize you have so much more time in a day than you think. And it's not just you, everyone else does this. They have these high beliefs. Oh, I'm so good at mastering my time. And then when you actually map it out, which, by the way, people are too scared to do because, maybe they're scared of seeing the truth, or they just have these egos when I recommend it. Hey, maybe you should try this out. Oh no, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty productive. I know how I spend my time. It's rather sad. I mean, just map it out, and you don't even have to do it by the minute like me. Just by the half hour or hour, you will see some crazy results. So each morning, he recommends you write down your most important tasks, including the classes you have to go to, exams, chores, and at night you check off everything you've accomplished, but now give an explanation for everything that didn't get done. And that's how you unearth the excuses. Some of those explanations, maybe they're not, good ones. You can bet that having to write down I watched TV until 2 a.m. so I was groggy and couldn't focus for the third time really sucks. And you'll eventually realize it's an excuse. Okay, so that's the second tip. We have 3 tips, so we've done 2 of them. The third one may just be the most useful. I mean, it's a subjective thing, so maybe not. But stay tuned for the third one. I'm going to jump back to my my YouTube comments just to shout out a few more of these people. And I'm also just blown away by the success that they've seen. So if you've experienced that success, I want to know specifically, what'd you do differently? What tip worked? What tip didn't? Because that's what I want to know, and I still don't know that yet. So Mohammed Farazian says second. So he's the second comment. I want to shout him out. He seems very excited about that. Ling Ling Wannabe says, hey, I'm not a native speaker, so please, does someone know how to write the name of the author of the book that he speaks about? So once again, it's Cal Newport. It's spelled CAL space NEWPORT. And I'll start to link these books in the description so you guys don't have to keep asking. So jumping back to the third tip, third and final tip, use the 3 P's: planning, proceeding, and proofreading. In the planning section, and this is for actual exam time, you flip through and just scan and map out what you have to do. I did this very much for the SAT until I got to a point where I had I took the official test like several times, and I got to a point where I just knew, okay, this is what the section looks like, and I could just tell by the questions, by the format, this is where I have to look. These are the hard questions, these are the easy ones. So, plan out, okay, how do you want to tackle this? Take on the easy questions first. Maybe tackle a hard question every now and then to take the, knock that out, and then jump back to an easy one for a quick win. But maybe start with the easy ones, plan it out so that you can snowball and grow. Proofread, or proceeding would be actually going through it. So step 2 is proceeding, going through that after you've planned out your attack method. And with planning, I think that's the most crucial part in my opinion, because you have to know what to look for and what to do. I like to have at least for the SAT, I like to have at least 5 to 10 minutes of free time, so that I finished all the questions and still had that time. That buffer time allowed me to check for mistakes, and it made sure that I answered all the questions before the time limit was called. So, plan accordingly. Proceed, of course, means, you go through and you execute on your plan. Tackling a hard one first sometimes puts too much pressure on you. There's already enough of that. So get the quick wins in to boost your confidence. After that, you can move on to the harder problems. And then finally, the proofreading section is the double checking section. My mom really drilled this in on me. She was someone who always double and triple checked everything, not just for studying in school, but for life. Now, I think she was a little overboard in life. You don't really need to go that far. But in terms of tests, that's an easy way to get points back for yourself. Sometimes you just make simple mistakes, and countless students, because they are careless, they just turn in their test rather than double check. And then that's how you figure out, oops, that's a typo, or I spelled that wrong, or oops, in my head I knew that was the answer, but I accidentally circled the other one just because I was rushing through it. Those are the simple give me points that you can get back for yourself just by double checking your work. And I found personally through a lot of trial and error that the best method for me, and it may be a little different for you, but I think ideally it's a kind of middle between a casual double check versus a very thorough double check and a very quick skim. I used to do these very thorough double checks, and they were so exhausting and draining for me, and they were too thorough. They wasted a lot of time, and they drained my energy, and I rarely ever uncovered anything that crazy. So I think a kind of middle ground between a double or triple check that's in the middle worked perfectly. And I had to kind of wean myself off of the triple and quadruple checks that I kind of learned to do from my mom. And that was too much. And you could tell that it was energetically just draining me too much. It brings me back to like second grade and fifth grade, where we had these like crazy like day-long tests, and it was some like nationwide thing to like assess all our IQs and stuff. And like, we had an hour-long lunch, a recess to compensate, and it was draining for all of us. And I did the whole triple quadruple check in that time, and it was too much. And there's people who finish super fast. Those aren't usually the ones you should copy, because they kind of rush through it. They just want to get it done. But there's also the people who finish way too slow, or the last people, and you don't want to be those either, because then you've probably checking too much or going crazy with it. But usually when you get the time, you want to use it. So those are the 3 tips. Hopefully they helped. And I want to shout out Will Howard again as my final comment. He said first, so he got the first comment in a previous video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully these tips helped. Check the description for the video, the links to the books this time.